It's really kind of strange when you pull up to the dive site. There's a beach club real close, and so you have all of the party type of people are at the beach club, and the music's blaring and everything. And you walk over, and here's this little cenote. It's more of a little swamp, you know. And on one side of it, it's a contrast. There's a manicured lawn on one side, but then the other side is just jungle. So it's really a contrast.
We use the scooters to get close to the end of the existing line. We ended up weighing our burn time characteristics. You know, we talked about weight versus burn time on the scooters, the way they're designed. We ended up scootering back on average about 3,000 feet before then we dropped them and started swimming.
It would take about 2 hours to swim it to the end of the line, and then with the scooters to reach the end of the line, it would be about an hour and 10 minutes.
We were about 60% faster than swim rate. So it saved us a lot of time. We also, the scooters are very small and the batteries are external, so you would wear them on your belt. And we had the ability to plug in fresh batteries. So that gave us longer run time.
We had to get to the end of the line, and then we didn't know what we were going to find, so then we had to kind of fumble through everything to figure out where the main passage was at.
Well, one of the challenges is just the pure distance that we were going to basically have to penetrate before we thought that we were going to be able to come across any potential good leads. The existing line was laid approximately 4,000 feet back into the system, so if you're trying to swim that's obviously a pretty lengthy dive before you even get to do anything you know, of a count and an exploration standpoint. Can be in 1 minute you're in just this huge passage that might be, you know, 70 feet floor to ceiling, or, you know, 50 feet wide, you know, and then all of a sudden you go into this nicer cozy little area where there's all these formations, kind of maybe low and wide, and then there's other aspects there where you're getting into what I call Swiss cheese, just very brittle stuff. It's all these little holes, and you can go into one little small room and then kind of wheel through a small spot, and then you're in another small room, and it's just full of that. So very just dramatic. And just the changes that you see in the system.
And there's areas that had a lot of speleotherms, a lot of formations. So the cave had to have been dry for a long period of time in order for them to form. But this one is not directly connected to the ocean. Now there is saltwater areas in it, but it's just seeped in. So it's not affected by tidal flow or anything like that. So if you silt out an area, it's going to be silty for a long time because there's no flow. There were not any real clearly defined haloclines where there's salt water here and fresh water here.
The second or third person in a team going through that, you may not be seeing anything, not simply because they're bad technique, but just simply because it gets stirred up as you swim through that.
After swimming around for 3 hours, we finally found an air dome, and great just to be able to take the rebreather hoses out of her mouth for a minute and just kind of go over a game plan.
The air dome was really a godsend because you're 2 hours back into a system, and you're able to come into this room and you're able to take the reg out of your mouth, and you're able to eat and drink and rehydrate. You're able to communicate. If we hadn't had that, we wouldn't have been able to do as long dives or been as effective on the dives, because we were able to go back and communicate and say, well, no, we still have this much available to us. Let's go try this lead. Things like that we wouldn't have been able to do if it hadn't been there.